Alright, so I just finished Gantz, volume 27, and I'm getting into the conclusion of the series. I got about 10 more volumes to go. It's been quite the wild ride, and some revelations are given to us in this volume. We get a little bit more information about what Gantz actually is, 27 volumes into the series. How come every time they fight statues, it's like the most devastating thing in the entire world? There is nothing worse than a statue fighting you, whether it's of Buddha or of art in Italy. So yeah, everyone's here. Every Gantz team from all over the world is just in this war. They're just dropped into the middle of this war zone. And that's what this is. This isn't like they're in the city and they're looking for the alien or they have to find the creature or whatever. They're literally dropped like smack dab right in the middle of a giant war zone that's happening. And they can barely keep up. They can keep up with anything. These creatures are just way too powerful. And I thought this was going to be maybe the last mission. I thought this was going to last, maybe until the end of the series. Like, I thought we were going into what would be the finale of Gantz. Turns out that's not the case whatsoever, as Gantz constantly pulls the rug out from under you. So, but, unfortunately, we do have some major character deaths. We have, first there's Inaba, who's kind of breaking down, and he's at the end of his wits. He feels too weak, and he has been the one character that, though he's been surviving these constant missions and whatnot, he hasn't really, he's never earned his worth, and he never really had anything too redeeming about him as a character. Like, he was never an outright asshole, but he always, found the coward's way to go about things. He always found the way to not step up and to not, be a team player like everyone else was. And so I understand where he was at this point. And I feel like it was a little odd to keep his character around as long as they kept him, because he never advanced his character in any way. He was just kind of this guy that just so happened to survive every mission. However, Suzuki, the old man character, he really did care about everybody, and this was the tragic one. This was the tragic moment that happened, where he tries to protect Inaba. He sees Inaba breaking down, and he comes in, guns blazing, this old man, and he's just doing his best to try to keep things afloat and try to make sure everyone survives, and he gets, ripped apart by these creatures, by these statues, and that's a death that hurts, because this guy, again, he's been around for a while. Ever since the new team was introduced, like the beginning of the dinosaur mission, when we got all these new characters that we're still with now, as soon as they were introduced, he was one of the most endearing pieces of that. He was kind of the heart of the group. After Kato, died originally, he kind of took over the guy that wants to get everybody out alive, the guy that really cares about everybody in the group, and he really did. And so it was sad to see him go, but in his last moments, he was able to kind of break a smile, remembering his wife and whatnot, and thinking, that he's going to go to her after he dies. But who knows if that's the case with all the themes that Gantz deals with. After that, Inaba sort of gets a second win, but he's crushed. He's crushed literally under the foot of another statue. And then as the teams are still getting ripped apart, everyone starts to transfer back, like before the statues are completely defeated. So what is the cause of that? I have a theory that I'm going to get to in a moment. But afterwards, again, it seems like the last couple of missions, every single time, Gantz has been doing something different. It's been changing things up. It's been glitching out. It's been having issues. And here, after this mission is not completed, but interrupted, and they're all brought back to the room, Gantz is like, it's finished. You're all finished. And so, what does that mean? That they can leave the room, like Gantz is over with? And they want to bring the old man back, and the only person that reached 100 points was Nishi at first, and they're like, Nishi, please, everyone pleads with him. Everyone pleads with Nishi, like, please bring the old man back. And Nishi, the asshole that he is, chooses to have the more powerful weapon. What's he going to need it for if Gantz is over with? But that's Nishi's character for you. He doesn't give a shit. And, way back when, in like the second mission where Nishi died the first time, in his last dying words, it seemed as though he really wanted to get out of Gantz, As much as he enjoyed kind of winning over other people and killing the creatures and whatnot, it seemed as though that he actually did want to escape. But I feel like what happened in the last volume, where, you know, his whole classmates turned on him and then he pulled the gun out and killed everybody, I think he realizes that he can't go back to the real world. He can't live a normal life. He's going to be a fugitive. He's going to be wanted by the police and everything. He's not going to be able to go back to, you know, his parents if he has. I think he talked about his mom or something when he was dying the one time. He's not going to be able to go back to any of them. So he's kind of, at least I feel like, committed himself to being in Gantz indefinitely, like forever, you know, until he dies again. And so I can understand why he would be thinking the way that he does, even though I don't agree with it. I can at least understand where he's coming from, even though I think he's an asshole. But he's a lot more of an enjoyable asshole to read than Izumi was, because I really hated Izumi. You guys know that, but Nishi, I like him as an asshole character, whereas Izumi, I just really wanted him to die. So the only other character that gets the 100 points was Rika, and as she tries to bring the old man back, it glitches out. And again, I have another theory for this too. So, okay, so all the characters leave the room. Rika goes back in. She forgot her to change back out of her Gantz suit. She goes back in to get her clothes. And the human that was inside the Gantz sphere is now out of the sphere, just kind of standing there, like looking like fucking the engineers from Prometheus, you know? And it starts talking to her, and it's like, oh yeah, who did you want to bring back? Like, as if it did glitch out, and now he's out of the sphere clearing his head, and he's like, go ahead, tell me who you wanted to bring back. And I believe she does say the old man, but Gantz knows what she really wants. And so here, this proves so many things, where the Gantz thing, the human or whatever it is inside Gantz, brings back Chrono. So Chrono, our main character, is brought back, but he already left the room. So Gantz, you know, does like a download, does the transfer thing of Chrono, which is right there, which is what Rika wanted. She wanted to get the 100 points so that she could revive Chrono a second time, so that she could have him to herself. You know, the jealousy that she felt of Chrono wanting to be with Tai and everything. And what does it mean if Gantz can completely, you know, recopy human lives over and over and over again? And so Gantz already knew what she actually wanted. This is my theory. And I feel like it's because all of these characters are being constantly watched and monitored, which is also something I'm going to get to in just a second. But as far as that goes, this is so fucked up because, again, this takes the value off of human life. This takes the value off of... This lets us know that every time a character is revived, it's a whole new version of them. That all of their thoughts, feelings, memories, their entire body is recopied over from the point that they died. So, this means that every time a character has died, they have really died. That version of them is gone. They're dead. And then Gantz brings back a new version, you know, recopying from where that last one left off. So that means that our original Chrono is dead. He died in Volume 1 during the subway incident, the very first thing that happened. Then Chrono died again by the vampire creatures, which, by the way, what the fuck? They just kind of like, what? They're there for no reason at this point. I'll get into a tangent on that in another video. But, yeah, so every time a character is brought back, they're dead. Like the original Kato who died in the Buddha mission, he's dead. This Kato is a copy of that Kato. So this is so fucked up. So all of these characters are just copies, versions of who they were before, and that kind of like really puts a spin on, you know, what is human life? What is the soul? Do they have a soul? Is the soul copied over with the body, you know, or does it not matter? Or is it just the fact that we're life and we're just created? Now, I mentioned the Gantz thing looking like the engineer from Prometheus, and in that movie, you know, the idea was that these creatures kind of inadvertently created human life. So like human lives, we view ourselves to be so valuable and so precious and so unique and special. But what if we were just an accident? What if we were just something that, you know, was created by another higher being, a higher creature, an alien, maybe something that some would call God, you know, created a human life, and they just did it on a whim. They just did it because they could. There's no greater grand scheme or greater grand purpose. They just kind of decided to try something, or it was an accident altogether. And that's one of the major themes of that movie that I really, really like, and it kind of reshapes your perspective of what human life could possibly mean. Anyways, besides all that, so Rika is trying. It lets Chrono know that there's another version of him out there, and now she wants to be together with this Chrono, but it's still Chrono, like it's still like him copied over. So he's like, I love Tai. Like Tai is my girlfriend. Tai is who I want to be with, which again, amazing character development. That Chrono, even realizing this fact that he could be with this hot, like beautiful supermodel Rika, has completely unraveled who he was at the beginning of the series, where like now he wants to be with Tai. Like Tai is his woman, no matter what. And Tai's a quality woman, by the way. Like she's amazing. She's awesome. She's artistic. She gives him a blowjob without asking. I mean, it's fantastic, right? So so this is just nuts. This is just crazy, and he's so conflicted. He can't go back to his apartment because there's another version of himself there, and so he goes with Rika, and he refuses to sleep with her at first. He doesn't even want to sleep in the same bed with her, which is just, again, crazy character development for Chrono. And eventually he does wind up talking to his other self. He goes to his apartment and he sees his other self, and he tells him what Rika did. And he's like, switch spots with me, please. I want to be with Tai. And then the other versions of him like, no, like I loved. They're the same person. They're the same fucking person. And I was a little upset that there was only like a page of them talking to each other. I would have liked a whole drawn out discussion. And actually one of my gripes with Gantz to begin with, which I'll talk about when I do like a full series review, when I finish the manga, I'm going to talk about the entire series as a whole. But one thing that Gantz doesn't do is have enough interaction between characters. It doesn't have enough dialogue. It's a very visual manga. It's a very visual storytelling. There are a lot of pages and panels that are just images with no dialogue. This is how Gantz expresses itself. And I appreciate that about Gantz, but at the same time, there are moments where characters really need to be having conversations, and either the conversations are really short, they're interrupted, or they just don't happen at all. So this is that's a gripe that I do have with this series. And they don't really come to any conclusion. The two Chronos talk to each other, and they don't want to switch places, or the original Chrono doesn't want to switch places, so it doesn't really go anywhere. And so that kind of annoyed me. But other than that, we get a reveal, we get a little bit of an explanation about what Gantz is all about. So the reporter, investigator, I forget his name, he's off in Germany, he's trying to find out the secret of Gantz. In the last volume, he found the factory where they're creating all the spheres, and in this one, he meets this rich German dude that is the creator of Gantz in a way. And it's just like fucking real life, man. It's the higher ups, it's the 1%, it's the elite, it's the cabal, whatever you want to call it. The God hand, the people above us all you're treating us all like the ants that we are. And Gantz is something that rich people watch and bet on, and it's a game for the pleasure of the rich. It's a game to watch us die. They bet on who's going to live the longest, and it's an entire game. Just like, I've always called it a game, a Gantz game. That's what it is. And there's people watching, and there's spectators. And this is why I'm saying that, like, they're probably monitored. This wasn't talked about in the volume, but just as, like, a theory, is that they're probably monitored when they go home. They're probably monitored their entire, like, that chip in their head is probably something where the rich, the elite, can keep tabs on them to see where they are at all times. So they're trapped in this game for the entertainment of the rich. But it does go further than that. That's not like the secret of Gantz. So this rich German dude, he has his daughter who's like mentally handicapped, but she's been speaking in code. And he was able to hire all of these, mathematicians and all of these scientists and stuff to decipher the code. And the code was to create the Gantz spheres. And this was to help him, get richer and whatnot and become, this higher power that he is. So it was feeding her the codes, right? So it was using her to communicate in some way so the Gantz spheres would be made. And we see in the final chapters of this volume, the interpreter that was translating between the German guy and the investigator, talks to the investigator one-on-one, and he's making these crazy things happen. He's like, check this, he watches a lady fall, and then he causes a car crash, and then he literally sends a plane into a building, and basically like showing he has this like omnipotent power. So is he some sort of godlike being? Is he some sort of person like the engineer from like Prometheus, where he's treating humanity as just its plaything? Like, look at all these things that I can do. I can like make these things, all these things happen. I can have all these people in these Gantz games and just work them like puppets. So is that what's happening? I don't know, and we don't get any more conversation out of that. He's able to make himself kind of phase just like a Gantz transference, and he's able to get himself out of there. So the reporter's just stuck in Germany like, what the fuck did I just see? And hopefully we'll see more from him. And it looks like whatever it is getting ready for its final phase, because what happens next is the sky of the world turns red. It's like the fucking apocalypse. News reportings are saying like there's these flying ships that crashes into America and everything. It crashes into New York City, which I don't know when this volume came out, but like it's got that kind of like 9/11 imagery going on, which is like pretty brutal, especially like it's literally happening in New York City. And so like America's military is being destroyed by these planes that are just crashing into everything. And yeah, the sky is like beat red. And so what the hell is going to happen? There's two versions of Chrono. There's Raika, Nishi, Kato So Alive, Kaze, and the little boy, the telekinetic kid whose name I can never remember for whatever reason. So they're all still there, and the two vampire characters, which I'm not even going to get into that right now. This video is too long already. But it looks like the final 10 volumes of Gantz are going to revolve around whatever this apocalyptic event is, and hopefully we learn a little bit more about who the guy is that can seemingly control everything, that seemingly put the Gantz messages in order for the spheres to be made. Is he doing this on like every single planet? Is he using every alien species as like his playthings? Because let's not forget, all of the aliens themselves in the Gantz missions, they don't know what's going on either. For the most part, they've been like defending themselves. They don't really understand why humans are being sent out to kill them. So there's that too. And so Gantz has seriously kept its mysteries going throughout the entire series. It's incredible how long these mysteries have been happening into 27 volumes, and we still don't know the whole story. But hey, that's part of the fun of it and figuring it out. So let me know what you guys think of my review of volume 27 and my theories moving forward. Let me know what there is to expect. I know a lot of fans say that the final arc of Gantz was a letdown, which the build-up is really good right now. So like I'm on board. So I hope it's not much of a letdown, but other people have said that they do enjoy it. So we'll have to see. We'll see what happens. Other than that, guys, please comment down below and like the video, because that helps it be seen in the algorithm. And I know there's more Gantz fans out there, and I want to talk to you guys. So let's get this video shared so that we can talk Gantz with more people, because I think that'll be a lot of fun. Other than that, guys, I hope you have a wonderful day. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see more reviews and other nonsense. And I will talk to you guys in the next Gantz review.